Good evening, everyone. It's Necro Thursday, and this is the Necromaniacs Horror Podcast. How's it going, Mike?
It is going well. Tonight, kids, you get Mike and Mike. Welcome back. Happy Thursday as you're listening to this. And it is now September, Mr. Hill. How about that?
Dude, I'm so happy that summer's over. I've never been a big summer guy except for maybe when I was like, in school as a kid, because you got the summer vacation. But in my adult life, I've always favored this time of year, the autumn.
Yeah. I mean, I like summer. My birthday's in summer. I have good, summer memories, but some of this summer was not great. Um, some of it was a lot of fun, mixed bag. Uh, so yeah, I mean, I am looking forward to the fall, to be honest.
Well, last night actually, it's just real quick. I had like a very minor medical procedure done yesterday, and I had
Mm.
this like lesion from the inside of my mouth removed. And
Oh my God.
yeah, it's from getting, I don't know what it's from. It's probably from getting punched in the face or something. I don't know what it is, but there was like this thing on the inside of my lip, and it
Oh,
I had to get it removed. I mean, it's not there's no health, no cancer or nothing like that. It's just a benign sort of lump that I had there of
oh,
tissue. So
okay.
as a result of that, my fiance took me out for ice cream last night. So
Uh-huh,
it was kind of nice in the cool air.
uh-huh.
We had a little Sam Hain going, which is
Mm.
like appropriate for this type of year, this time of the
Yeah,
year.
yeah, yeah. We're
Yeah, the
getting there.
windows are down. Yeah, the windows are all down. Nice cool autumn air coming in.
Mm.
And to walk the night playing is just a really cool night.
That's cool, man. That's awesome. I'm glad it was benign too, for fuck's sake.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was yesterday I was a little, my mouth was swollen, I had a little, trouble talking, that kind of thing. But today I'm fully recovered. I just got some stitches I'm contending with now. It should be fine.
Good. Good news. Good news. Um, oddly, wait, was that yesterday you had that done?
Yeah, that was yesterday.
Oddly enough, with complete coincidental, I had no joke, a minor procedure at the dermatologist office myself.
There you
How about
go.
that?
See, we both got
Yeah,
skin problems.
and it was a skin tag by my eye.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and I was like, you know what? I don't want to look at this fucking thing.
Nah,
And
dude.
now they lasered the fucker off, and now it looks like I have like a cut there, but that'll go away, and that'll be it. So we both had procedures done unbeknownst to ourselves. How about that?
Yeah, minor
Mm.
procedures, nothing crazy.
Mhm.
It's no health problem. Everything's cool. Just
Yes,
a little
everything's good.
inconvenient. A little inconvenient. That's about it.
In and out, yes.
But
But
before we
yeah,
get
man.
going, I just want to bring a little bit of a little. This is worth being mentioned.
Mhm.
Any guys out there that are fans of Godin, the band Godin, or the
Mhm.
band Winter,
Mhm.
sad news that Tony Panisi has passed away, the keyboard player, and actually wrote a lot of the more technical sort of musician type stuff, like compositional pieces for them. And he passed away in the last week or so.
Mhm.
And Steph Flam, hit me up about that. And yeah, it's sad. I didn't really know Tony that well. I had interviewed him a number of years ago, and
Mhm.
very, very cool guy. Very, very, very nice person. Very creative, interesting guy. Um, Within the last month or so, I actually thought about reaching out to him and seeing if he wanted to come back on Everything Went Black and talk about, anything. I mean, he's like a knowledgeable guy, very much into horror literature and all that sort of stuff. Yeah, and
Mhm.
then Steph just hit me up and he's like, I got some bad news for you. Tony passed away. So yeah, so if any of you guys are out there that are into Winter or Godin, just you know, there's some sort of memorial stuff going on online that you can check out, and just wanted to pass that news on to everyone.
Yeah, that is really sad, man. Winter were awesome band. That's terrible news.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, and of course, also in the past couple of days, on the death front, Abigor's
Yep.
longstanding guitarist, bassist, Peter Kubrick, mainly known as PK, was also also died, unfortunately, by suicide in the past few
Oh
days.
man, terrible.
And yeah, I mean, Abigor, long running Austrian black metal band that put out this phenomenal record last year, and always kind of on the upward trajectory as far as their records go. Death at 49 years old, Peter
Young,
Kubrick. Yeah, very young,
too young.
very sad too.
I
And
remember, yeah, we were going back and forth about that on the thread yesterday,
mhm.
and I got to be honest, I'm not overly familiar, but as a result of that, I started digging into the catalog a bit.
Yeah, they're fucking awesome. I mean, I'm sure some of our listeners are fans or know exactly who they are. That they they've been around since like I think 94, I believe 95. Their earlier stuff is great, but even the latter stuff is equally great. Um, and yeah, that last record they put out in 2023 was phenomenal. Um, so yeah, rest in peace to Peter, and condolences to the many Abigor fans for sure. But yeah, if you haven't checked them out, listeners, highly recommended quality black metal, Abigor. Any record really, to be honest, is pretty solid. Very unique sounding band, very different band. Yeah, rest in peace.
Well, before we get too deep in the episode, let's shout out the rest of the Horsemen. You guys all know that we're part of this group known as the Horsemen of the Podcasting Apocalypse, whose
Yes,
sole
sir.
mission is to eradicate mediocrity in whatever corner it's hiding. And there's a lot of mediocrity out there. So, kicking things off every other Monday, we've got Horror Wolf 666 brought to you by Brandon Legion. And what's up next, Mike?
Why, on Tuesday, we have the mighty Into the Necrosphere for all of your extreme metal needs. I listened to Jackie's interview with King Fowley of Deceased the other day. I
Oh
don't know
yeah.
if you checked that out. That was a wonderful interview. King Fowley is never at a loss for words. I love that he's, old school, opinionated, motherfucker. I love people like that. So that was a lot of fun. That is every Tuesday, kids, Into the Necrosphere. Check it out.
On Wednesday, you get a double shot. You get my podcast, my beginning of my foray into this whole thing. Everything Went Black, along with Iblis Manifestations, brought to you by Cheyenne of the great band Trivax.
Yes. Uh, Excellent podcasts, of course. But on Thursday, while you're listening to it right now, I think it's the Necromaniacs podcast, the greatest horror podcast in the world. What about Friday, Mike?
Well, before we get to Friday, we have day one of Soul Knox too, which drops on
Oh,
Thursdays
that's
as
right.
well. So, Carl gives us 2 episodes every week, and on Friday we have your brother coming at us, John Draper with Spitball
Mhm.
Media, which is I would say it's a culture
Hmm.
oriented show, wouldn't you say?
Yes. Yeah, it focus. Look, a lot of it is actually about horror movies, but a lot of it is just kind of about the movie and entertainment world in general, and then even sometimes they'll touch on wrestling, and they'll
Yeah.
a lot of good pop culture stuff. So do check out Spitball Media on Fridays.
So the trick question is what's on Saturday?
Oh, Saturday is the day off. It's the day of rest. Go out and see the world. Fall is a coming. It's nearing. So maybe go out and enjoy the crisp fall weather, right, Mike?
That's right. It's coming down the line. So definitely be prepared for that.
Be
And if
prepared.
you live up here in the Northeast, man, this is like the best time of year for like color, and you go out there and see the changing leaves and all that sort of stuff, and
Oh yeah.
have a couple of 2, 3 pumpkin spice lattes if
Ah
that floats your
yeah.
boat. I had my first one last week, and I've been going hard with the pumpkin spice lattes.
Well, I'll say this, Mr. Hill. As we're recording tonight, I'm having my very first Sam Adams Oktoberfest of the season.
There you go.
It's with the lovely orange label. They only make these in like September, October, November. So the Sam Adams Oktoberfest is a wonderful beverage to check out if you are of the drinking variety.
Yeah. So Sunday is day two of Soul Knocks, brought to you by Carl Harkera. And I always leave this blurb to the Sunday episode. So I just want to mention that Carl and I are doing a collaboration called Darkness Weaves, where we talk about the work of Carl Edward Wagner, a relatively obscure yet influential weird fiction and dark fantasy horror writer that's out there. And you've seen his signature on a lot of things. You might not know it though, but he has a big influence on horror and dark fantasy and that sort of stuff. Right now we're doing the Kane short stories, which if you're into Conan and like Elric and that sort of stuff, it's like if Conan was a sorcerer, that's kind of what Kane is like. Very, very grim, very pessimistic stories, a lot of action, but also a lot of magic and stuff like that too, and creatures.
Well, that's cool. Who wouldn't like
Yeah,
that?
yeah, sounds great.
Fucking
But
A.
yeah, before we go a little further, I just gotta say, man, dude, the fall is so great, man. You're talking about the Sam Adams stuff, like the pumpkin spice. Pretty soon we'll be gonna be carving up some pumpkins, and it's just such a great time of year, and
Hmm.
I'm really looking forward to this fall.
Hell yeah, man. Me too. Me too. You know. Um, so there you have it, folks.
Yeah.
Our horseman.
Have you been checking anything out interesting at all as far as like movies and stuff go? Books, music?
Yes, I have actually. I've been watching on Apple, the Apple app, Presumed Innocent, which is, of course, I guess a remake of sorts of the 1990 film with Harrison Ford, which was based on the 1987 novel of the same name, a book I've never read, but I now definitely want to read it after completing the series on Apple. Very cool. It changes things up a bit regarding, say, the outcome. I mean, I guess if you've seen the movie, you're probably like, oh, why would I watch the show if I saw the movie? But oh no, they changed things quite a bit, and very cool update. Jake Gyllenhaal plays, the main role as Rusty Savage, and it's got Peter Sarsgaard in it, and it's got some other cool actors in it: Ruth Negga, Bill Camp. If you like your thrillers, as you probably do, if you like, Giallo, of course. Yeah, this is definitely something cool to watch. David E. Kelly has a hand in it as the show's creator, but I enjoyed this very much. Currently streaming exclusively on Apple.
So I've been meaning to check that out.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah, it was 8 episodes, so like 8 hours. So I kind of watched it slowly at night, you know. But no, I enjoyed it very much, and now it's like, okay, I may jump into season 3 of The Bear, which I heard was quite mixed. The season 3 of The Bear, I enjoyed season 1 and 2 very much, but I have not gotten around to watching this new season yet. But yeah, I mean, on the horror front, honestly, I haven't been checking out all that much. I do want to see the latest Alien film in the theater, which I may do. I know you and Jeff were not super fans, from what I understand.
Not too keen on it, but definitely check it out. Like it was
Yeah,
fun as a night out, definitely for sure it
right.
was.
Okay. Um, so yeah, um, but that's about it, really. I mean, I've been watching, Batman cartoons and just kind of not a ton of horror, but that is going to ramp up, I believe, now that we are in the fall season.
Absolutely, man. I mean, it's you get everyone tries to do the 30 days of Halloween, and
Mhm.
that's we got to put that list together in the month of September for sure.
Yeah, that's hard to do sometimes, the watching a movie at night, obviously, you got to carve out that time. But a lot of people do it with ease.
Yeah, yeah, that's I love doing that. I love at least trying to do it. You know what I mean? And I got to be
Oh
honest with you, I don't really have anything going on in the month of October, so it's going to be it shouldn't be too hard for me to take care of that chore. You know?
yeah. Mm.
Yeah. Um. Yeah. For me, I watched 8mm again with Tina, my fiance, who has never seen it,
Oh
and I
wow,
got
you never saw it.
nah, dude, and I gotta say that movie's great. It really is. It's one of my favorite Nicolas Cage roles. And for any of you guys there who checked out the recent episode of Horror 666, where Brandon and I go on about our favorite Nick Cage films, that's one of mine for sure.
Mm. Yeah, that is a really fun movie. You know, I haven't seen it in a minute. It makes me want to see it again. And now I would also like to see its cousin film again, Hardcore, of course.
Yes.
Which is a movie you and I are big fans of.
Oh yeah, George C. Scott.
Mhm.
There's two. The two are definitely they have like they're spiritual cousins, you know, for
Oh,
sure.
absolutely. Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, I don't think 8mm happens without hardcore. So yeah.
And I mentioned this to Jeff, but I'm mentioning it again because I've completed the mission on this here. I have, through my fiance, introduced me to Downton Abbey. Have you seen that?
Oh my God, I've never watched it, but I've I've never actually spoke to another dude that's watched it. So tell me.
It's not a very watched movie by men. So
No, no, no.
we watched the entire series and both feature length films. Last
Mm,
night we completed that mission. So I've mastered Downton Abbey.
mm,
A lot of fun. I enjoyed it. It's something I probably would never have gone to on my own.
mm.
But yeah, we would do like maybe 2 episodes at the end of the night before we go to sleep. And
Okay.
yeah, it's just like it's a kind of thing where, you know, it all kind of works out for everyone, you know, and it's like a period piece and you know, and I don't know, it was fun. I enjoyed it. I really did. I kind of miss not watching it now.
Ah, okay. See, that was kind of how I felt after I'd redone Sopranos early
Oh
in the
yeah.
year. I was kind of bummed that it was over, but it was fun to rewatch it from scratch. Um, I'm tempted to do a rewatch of Game of Thrones, but I don't know. I kind of want to focus on stuff I haven't seen. So, that's why I'm kind of on the hunt for something cool.
Yeah, you know, it's I like to do rewatch Sopranos like maybe every year. I do at least once a year. I'll do a rewatch, watch the entire thing.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, I really enjoyed rewatching it, but I'd forgotten just how rough some of it was in the first
Oh yeah,
season.
oh yeah,
But
yeah.
and how better it just gets kind of better and better, thank God. And I forgot just how brutal and violent a lot of it was too. So that was cool.
And just how like evil everyone is. Like you kind of remember the characters differently, you know. But then when you watch it back, the, with every rewatch, you pick up all these subtle things. Like especially Christopher Maltasante. You know, it's like I love
Mm,
Michael Imperioli. The Maltasante character is great, but you start to see just how fucked up he was. Like the more you rewatch the series.
yeah, he was a horrible person.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
and honestly, one of the most redeemable people was of course Dre DiMatteo's character, and they kill her. So
Yep.
it's almost like the good really truly dying young in a way over there,
Yeah.
huh?
Oh yeah.
You know?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Um, another just interesting thing, and any of you guys out there who follow me on Instagram, you might have seen the post I had outside of the Starbucks slash Barnes and Noble in the Menlo Park Mall, where I picked up Paul Tremblay's horror movie as well as Paperbacks from Hell,
Mm.
which I know that you've seen that, and I also
Well,
previewed. I also that was my debut pumpkin spice latte of the year. All that stuff happened in one day.
yes.
Yeah. So that was a good haul of two books. Like I'm almost done with the Tremblay one. And the Paperbacks from Hell is great, man. It's just so
Oh, it's a lot
cool.
of fun. Yeah, it's a great read. What's the Tremblay one again?
It's called Horror Movie.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's about a film that was made and never shown, and it gets remade, and it's a character, and there's a script, and it's cursed, and creepy stuff happens. It's pretty good. It's like I gotta say, like I'm not the biggest Paul Tremblay fan,
Hmm.
but the when I read the plot synopsis of this book, it sounded interesting to me, and I was like, let me check it out. Like I'm like selective about his stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, he's got like a buzz. Like he's one of Brian Keene's buddies. He's had certainly quite a bit of success in recent years, and you know, solid writer. I don't enjoy him as much as Keene myself, but yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, he seems cool too. Like I've heard a lot of interviews with him, like on the Lovecraft Ezine podcast. He's shown up. My good friend Chris up in Massachusetts is actually friends with him, and he's like speaks highly of him. And I'm like, oh, I back him. You know what I mean? I just don't. I probably won't approach his material the way that I say approach, um, you know, uh, Adam Neville or Brian Keene or other contemporary writers like that I really enjoy.
Yeah, I got you. I got you. Hey, it can't all be home runs,
That's right. That's right. Yeah.
but we have some calls this week, I understand.
That's right. We got one message, which
Mhm.
Mike from Pennsylvania called in, but he was like, this is just sort of for you guys. Don't want us to play it, but
That's right. So we will honor
so
your wishes, sir, but thank you, of course, right, for checking in.
yeah, Mike saw I Hate God at Johnny Brenda's, which is always like seeing I Hate God's always great, and Mike also mentioned the passing of Tony Panisi, man, and like it makes sense that he likes Godin, and Mike strikes me as a dude who
Mm,
probably appreciated Godin as well as Winter.
yeah.
And I always like hearing from Mike anyway. He's a good dude. I hope to someday that we can cross paths in person. I think that'd be really cool.
Oh yeah. He sounds like one of like the coolest guys ever. So cheers to you, sir.
Yeah. And guys, like I've met a bunch of you dudes out there on the road, and I'll be around. So if I'm coming through your town, man, definitely swing by and say hello. It's always a welcome event to see a friendly face out there on tour. So yeah, I'll be around.
Yeah, I went to that Dismember show a few weeks ago, which was great. Uh Tinnitus be damned, unfortunately. But I am going to go to the Deicide Christian show as well at the Monarch.
Oh yeah.
Which I believe is let's see, I want to get my date right. September the 10th at the Brooklyn
Oh wow.
Monarch. So
Damn, it's coming right up.
just coming right up there. Yeah, this coming Tuesday. Wow. Um, so that should be fun. So I guess, if you hear this and you see me, say hello to me. I'll probably be wearing a black baseball cap and a death metal t-shirt. So there you go. Yes, you'll be able to find me very easily.
So up next, we got Nick from Iowa.
Hey, longtime fan, Nick from Iowa. I've been a Shudder subscriber for a few years just to keep up with movies that you guys put out. And I was curious if you pay any attention to their rating system because I haven't figured out how to add my rating to their system. But I just thought I was wondering if you guys paid any attention to that. But regardless, thanks for what you do. And I cannot wait for New Tunes music, Mike. Thanks. Bye.
Nick, thanks for getting in touch. And you know something, man? I I'm like 50-50 with paying attention to the Shutter ratings. You know what I mean? How do you
Hmm.
feel, Mike?
Um, it's funny. I don't know if I've ever actually done like, okay, like Netflix has the thumbs up, thumbs down
Right.
thing. I'm pretty sure I've done a few thumbs up, thumbs down in my day, but I've never fucked with the rating on Shutter, like ever. So
I haven't either, man. But
yeah,
it's
like
like I don't
I
even know
guess
how to do it. They don't make it maybe you got to do it on the website or something like that. Maybe that's how you got to do it.
honestly, Shutter, I love you. God bless you. For fuck's sake, can we update this app, Mike? Am I wrong? Am I wrong?
I
Like
feel you, man. I think you're right about that. I agree with
it's
you a little bit.
time for it's time for a little something something. The Joe Bob is still a nightmare. I'm sorry to find Joe Bob episodes. It's a nightmare.
That motherfucker should have his own tab. You know what I'm saying? Like the
Yes,
amount of
yes.
content that guy has. It's like
I don't
he sh
understand.
there should be
Yes.
a whole section of just Joe Bob, and all his like his specials, the seasons, like his 24-hour marathons, all that stuff should just be in his its own section on their app.
Good luck trying to decipher the like what year and the season and the chronology. Good luck, I tell you.
Yeah.
Um, so again, love you, Shutter. I have no plans on canceling you anytime soon, trust me. But I think it's time for an update, and I think it's time for Joe Bob to have his own little hub on the screen.
Oh yeah.
And I have a feeling some listeners are nodding their heads right now.
But as far as those ratings go, like I'll kind of take it with a grain of salt. You know what I mean? Because it's like, for example, there's some movies on there that are maybe 2 or 3 stars that I really enjoyed. You know?
True, I do feel like, sir, as a whole, though, I feel like things are overrated. You know what I'm saying? Like
Mm,
even
hmm.
some of those really crappy ones from last year have like fours and fives, and it's like, really, man? Like, um, as a funny aside about ratings and liking movies, I watched the Abigail movie, Mike, that we contested back and forth that we landed on not doing an episode on, and boy, you were right without even seeing the movie. The movie is terrible, and I watched it for the sole reason of seeing Danzig's blood and tears played out in a movie because I love Danzig very much. And for fuck's sake, it's not the real version of the song. It's
Oh yeah, you were
they
saying that.
Yeah, Glenn fucked with the song, I think. In Again, this is a fan perspective, not fact or anything, but probably to not pay Erie, John Christ, or Chuck any royalty money for their performance in the song. Because I'm telling you, if you know Danzig 2 like I know it, or if you know the song Blood and Tears, the moment you hear the song, you know that it is not the actual version of the song. It has been retooled. But even that aside, the movie's fucking terrible. So, Mike, you were right.
Yeah, bro. I don't know. You're gonna have to really make it worth my while to go see that movie. You know what I mean? Like it's. I We saw a trailer for it, and I was like, "Yo, man, there's no way I'm gonna watch this movie."
And you know what? The Danzig stand is so hard. I made a post on the Danzig official Facebook group where you can post. Um, and I said, although the movie was terrible, it was good it was cool to hear a Danzig song in a movie, yada yada yada. And Mike, everyone attacked me for saying the movie was terrible.
Oh, really? Wow,
Yes.
dude.
It was
Damn.
great. What are you talking about? It was great. It was awesome. What a good movie. And Mike, I'm telling you, the only reason these motherfuckers like this movie is because the song was in the movie. Like
Yeah, you're right.
okay. Yeah. I would put my soul on that opinion, mind you. And I'm like, I didn't even engage. I put my thing, the movie was terrible. I wrote, movie's terrible. And about 20 people completely and some rabidly disagreed with me. And the Danzig Stan fan is real, bro. They're very akin to the Typo Negative Stan fan. They're very similar people. You can have no negative judgment whatsoever on anything, no opinion that is not a favorable opinion. And we're talking about two of my favorite bands of all time. But I am such a fan that I will point out things that are not good about them. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
To me,
no,
that's
it's
that's being a real fan. No?
yeah, it's like your duty to do that as a fan, if you ask me, to point out stuff that's questionable, you know?
Yeah. But the Danzig fans they didn't like that I thought the movie was terrible. I thought that was very funny. So yeah. There's my little fun aside.
What I'm looking forward to is the new Beetlejuice movie. which we have tickets for that this coming Friday. So that should be
Oh,
fun.
awesome. Yeah, that looks like a home run. I mean, not, I mean, I almost feel like it's hard to fuck up when you got the whole cast back. You know what I'm saying? You can't fuck up, and it looks like it is not in the slightest bit of fuck up. So I'm looking forward to seeing that as well.
That one dude wasn't invited back though. The guy who like
Oh, yeah.
the
Yes,
kid
yes, yes, yes.
toucher, the kid
Yes,
toucher guy.
well,
Yeah.
you know. Well, we can't have it, you can't have everything, as they say. And of course, how Hollywood has to draw a line somewhere, Mike Hill, right?
I get it with this guy for sure.
You know, but
Yeah.
yeah, Jeffrey, what's his name? I forget his name, Jeffrey something or other. But anyway,
Yeah.
yeah, I think the listeners know what we're talking about. Yeah. But it looks
So,
great. Yeah.
so that brings us to this week's feature film. Mike and I are going back to the motherland, to Italy,
Mm,
this
yes,
week.
yes,
And
we are.
actually, it's a first for this director, um, Emilio Miraglia.
Yep.
And of course, we're talking about the Red Queen kills 7 times.
Hmm.
Quite a
Yeah.
title, if you ask me.
Oh, I mean, it can only be a Giallo with a wonderful title like that. Yeah, this is our first Emilio Miraglia film. Of course, his prior film is something I think we could potentially also cover as well. The Night Evelyn Came Out of the Grave, which is another fantastic banger title. Uh, as an interesting aside, a character named Evelyn weighs heavily in this film. So how about that? But it is not a sequel to The Night Evelyn Came Out of the Grave. So yeah.
I was going to suggest we cover that one too, just because I think aren't those the only two like quote unquote Giallo films that Miraglia did?
Yes, as a matter of fact, you are correct. And he actually died about 10 years after Red Queen in 1982 at the young age of 58. Yes, those are his only two Giallo. He did a movie in 1967 called Assassination with Henry Silva that looks very cool, and I want to see it. Another cool crime movie with Henry Silva called The Frame Up. Got to see that one. The Vatican Affair uh, with Klaus Kinski.
Nice.
And in 1972, a movie called Joe Dakota Spaghetti Western. So I have a funny feeling that all six of Miraglia's movies are decent. I'm just going to put it out there, you know?
Oh yeah, yeah, definitely. I have only seen two of those.
Mhm.
The Night Evelyn Came Out of the Grave, and of course the Red Queen killed 7 times. And
Mhm.
though the Night Evelyn Came Out of the Grave, I would say is more like a gothic horror as opposed to like maybe like a giallo. You know what I mean? Though it
Oh
has
no,
elements of that.
absolutely. Yeah. I mean, it's I guess he liked using the Evelyn name and maybe he wanted people to think there was a connection, but totally,
Yeah.
absolutely. Um, it's funny. Part of the reason, folks, we covered this one was that the wonderful theme music in this weighed somewhat heavily in the episode we did about the 2024 movie Immaculate. Um, some of the score was used. Uh, honestly, like I'm a big fan of these kind of scores and like Italian, music in general. And the Bruno Nicolai music in this is fucking 10/10 for me. I love this music, Mike. What about you?
It's great. Great, definitely. It's that's the thing about these films is you get like a package. You get excellent cover, like the posters are always these beautiful painted covers, painted
Mhm.
posters. You get an outstanding score, and you get a certain type of film that is a lot of like scene chewing, but
Yep.
also,
Oh yeah, yeah.
there's like beautiful women in it, these beautiful European actresses are in it. There's a certain style of acting in it. And in the case of this film, there's those typical sort of red herrings and
Mm,
misdirections and it's combining like police murder mysteries with like horror and
mm.
hinting at supernatural stuff like that. That's the beauty of these films, and I feel like all that stuff all goes hand in hand.
Absolutely. Not only was I would say that the Immaculate director a fan of the film, I'm going to say James Wan enjoyed this film as well. The controversial 2021 film *Malignant*. The knife used in that is pretty much the exact same knife from The Red Queen Kills Seven Times. And then, of course, you could argue that the kind of the costuming of the murderess in *Malignant* looks quite a bit like the costuming in The Red Queen Kills Seven Times. What do you think?
I can see that. Yeah, I don't really meditate too much on *Malignant*. I'm not a big
Mm,
James Wan fan per se, and that
mhm.
film I saw it, but it just kind of like went right through me actually.
Yeah, and I remember back then in 2021, some of again, these are things that the average horror fan wouldn't pick up on. But if you know your Italian stuff, your European stuff, and then you went and saw *Malignant*, you were like, oh, okay, I think I saw something familiar here. Um, and look, James Wan is probably a horror addict. He's probably like an Eli Roth. You know what I'm saying? I would
Exactly.
say his horror knowledge is probably vast. And as we all know, Creature from the Black Lagoon looks like it's going to be in his hands. And I know you are not thrilled about that, but I'm of
Yeah,
course, wait and see variety.
I think like James Wan doing a creature film like that would be good.
Mm,
I think that working for him to work within like a framework like that, I think he'll do a good job, honestly. I just don't
mm.
some of his more conceptual stuff that he comes up with, I'm just not that into.
Okay. Yeah, I hear you. I hear you. He's done a lot of different types of stuff and the Aquaman, and he's got quite a resume. But yeah, we'll see what he does with Creature. But yeah, tonight we're kicking it back to Italy again. It's another Giallo episode for you Giallo fans. I got to tell you, Mike, if there is a Mount Rushmore of the ladies of Giallo, the lovely Barbara Boucher is on that Mount Rushmore. Would you agree with that statement?
Absolutely, man. Yeah,
Oh
definitely.
yeah.
She's one of the top in that field.
Oh, totally, totally. And I don't know. I see if I see she's in a movie, I'm like, oh, I gotta watch it. Like she has this presence about her and this ethereal beauty that is just super captivating. In the same way Edwidge Fenech has that same, like, you just kind of look at her and you're like, okay, I'm watching this movie. Barbara Boucher has that magnetism. You know,
I agree.
but
So just real quick. So this came out August 18th, 1972. Of course, directed and written by Emilio Miraglia. Screenplay by Miraglia and Fabio Pottoru.
Mhm.
98 minutes long.
Yes, a little too long, but we'll get to that.
Yeah, a little bit,
A little bit, a little bit.
Yeah.
What's noting? This movie has iconic '80s cult actress Sybil Danning in it, Mike, who to me looks unrecognizable in 1972 when she is 25, 26 years old. Would you have figured out that was the Sybil Danning?
No, because when I first saw this film, and I saw her in the cast, I was like, wow, I didn't even see her in the movie. You know what I mean? And then,
Well, yes, she is. She is in the movie. The thing about this movie, though, is that I mean, I don't know if this is intentional or not. Okay, Barbara Boucher is the only blonde is the blonde in the movie. Okay, like you know who she is. However, almost every other female in the movie has a very similar look and
yeah,
similar hair color. But we know Sybil Danning as a blonde. She plays Lulu Palm in this movie. No, she has red hair in this movie. And she looks a lot like main character Francisca, right?
that she does. Yeah, yeah. There's a lot of it was at times it is hard to keep track of everyone because they have very similar looks for sure.
Yes. And it might have been, maybe it was on purpose, maybe it wasn't, because this movie, of course, has red herrings and
Yeah,
we're not sure who the killer is, of course, until the very end. Um, but maybe like perhaps Emilio Miraglia wanted this to be a more of a vehicle for Boucher and have it kind of really be her movie and focus on her. That could be one take, no?
Probably, yeah.
Could be.
Yeah.
But yeah, Sybil Danning, man. Wow, it's of course she is Austrian. It's funny, I always thought she was an American, but yes, she is initially of Austrian descent. Um, and this movie, although, you know, Italian director Giallo, filmed in Italy and West Germany. So it's got that Euro mix to it.
Yeah, it's I believe it's supposed to take place in Würzburg too,
Yeah,
Austria. Yeah.
correct. Correct. And yeah, as you said, released August 18th, 1972. Not sure if this one got any form of US release. However, in 2017, Arrow released a Region 2 DVD edition and Region B Blu-ray. I will say this though, in the early aughts, around 06, 07, I got a Emilio Miraglia, you know, set of both The Night Evelyn Came Out of the Grave and Red Queen on a double disc DVD from the really cool No Longer Standing No Shame Entertainment. Do you remember No Shame, that company?
Vaguely, vaguely,
Yeah, they put
vaguely
out a
remember
lot of
them.
really good giallos first on DVD that now pretty much all have homes elsewhere. But yeah, No Shame managed to get a lot of Region 1 stuff out. Um, this version I have, I think I remember I had bought it like used or as like a promo somewhere, but it actually came with a statue of you know, the Red Queen that
That's
unfortunately I never
awesome, man.
owned. Yeah, I know. It came with like this limited statue. It was like this cool set. Um, but alas, I never got the statue. But I do have this long out of print, very cool double disc set that comes with a cool booklet and postcards and stuff. So I've had this puppy for almost 20 years. So yeah.
All right, so before we get going too far, I misspoke, and I don't want you guys to crucify me here. I said Würzburg was in Austria, but it's actually a city in Germany. Sorry about that.
Yeah.
I
Oh,
was like, I
okay.
was thinking about several things at once, and I was like, Würzburg, Austria. And I was like, no, yeah,
Yes, you might get checked by a listener.
yeah,
Exactly.
yeah. So I just wanted to, before I preemptively, put that out there. You know what I mean?
Understood, Mr. Hill. Understood. Um, so was this a first time viewing for you?
No, I actually have the Arrow Blu-ray of this,
Hmm.
and it's on of course, then it's on the Arrow player. So yeah.
Oh, it is. Oh, that's awesome, man.
Yeah,
Hmm.
so if you don't want to get the Blu-ray and you have the Arrow player, you can watch this as well. They got a lot of good giallos on there, by the way.
Yeah, and also from what I understand, this month Criterion is doing a big Giallo thing in September. I don't have either the Arrow or the Criterion app, but you know, I have an ass ton of DVDs and Blu-rays, so you know, there's that.
Yeah. So this film, interesting in a lot of ways because I think one of the key factors is that it's kind of like a female woman centric plot, if you
Hmm.
know what I mean.
Oh, totally. Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's definitely. I mean, I'm not going to say it's a feminist film. It's not really a feminist film, but it's definitely like a woman heavy film, a woman point of view.
Yeah.
The male characters are secondary. Would you agree?
I agree, and that's sort of like unique for this for giallo films, where women in their typically are more like victims and that sort of thing.
Yeah,
And in
yeah,
this
yeah,
case, they're
yeah.
victims, and they're running both sides of the fence in this film.
Yeah, kind of like the Mrs. Ward. It was, which was also, you know, Strange Vice of Mrs. Ward, of course, one of the ones we've covered on the show. Probably one of the greatest giallos of all time. Also, I would say has that to it, where it's a female centric film. But yeah, I enjoyed this film. You know, as I said earlier, it could have been cut down a lot. I feel like a lot of these giallos would benefit from some editing, you know, here and there.
Yeah, yeah, I can
Uh,
see that.
and this being one of them. But it was definitely an entertaining film. I think the usage of like, you know, the Red Queen really helped, like, move this movie along and made this visually very entertaining and kind of kept the viewer on their toes. Very creepy. The laughter. It's almost got like that, like Harley Quinn-esque vibe to it.
Yeah. So essentially, it revolves around a family. We have Kitty and Evelyn Wildenbrook,
Mhm.
and their older sister, Francesca. I'm going to say
Francisca.
Francesca. Yeah, Francesca.
Francisca. Yeah,
Yeah.
Francisca.
And Kitty and Evelyn, close in age.
Mhm.
Are they twins actually? I'm not sure about that.
Yeah, it's weird. They don't look in the slightest bit like twins, but they alluded to the fact that we were 9 or something. And at one moment, they said
Right.
we were 9.
Yeah.
But anyway,
Yeah.
suspension of disbelief.
So right off the bat, they talk about this I'm going to call it a curse, which has to
Yeah.
do around a painting of a red and a black queen. These two women depicted in this painting, and one's killing the other. And there's a curse that in a cycle of 100 years,
Mhm.
the Red Queen murders the other queen, but she's the 7th victim in a cycle of murder that she does. So she'll kill 6 people, and then the 7th one is always the Black Queen,
Right. The sister. Mhm.
the sister. Yeah, interesting sort of premise, which kind of lays the groundwork and maybe directs you into the realm of it being a supernatural origin to the
Mm.
story. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah, I could see that. But as we see, it's not necessarily the case, but it definitely kind of lays like the story out where that's a possibility. Um, but yeah, as you said, we got two sisters, Kitty and Evelyn. Kitty played by Barbara Boucher. And well, Evelyn, it's kind of almost inconsequential who Evelyn is played by in some ways, because we only see Evelyn initially in the very beginning of the film as a young girl. And then we flash forward to the modern day, which is 1972, where, of course, we have Barbara Boucher playing the Kitty character. And we learn that Evelyn, well, uh, is to most people away in America, quote unquote, right, Michael?
Right. Yeah. There's
Um,
there's the belief that she's in the United States, but in truth,
mhm.
and now this is like a little bit of misdirection here. I'm just going to say she was murdered. Okay.
Yes.
For most of the film, you believe that one person is the murderer, and
Mhm.
you discover at the end that someone else was actually the murderer, which is
Exactly.
like, kind of typical of these types of movies. There's a little bit of red herrings and misdirection, but done really well, I think, in this film.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Absolutely. And well, we could say the first half of it because it's kind of important.
Mhm.
We're led to believe that in an accidental fight, girl fight, that Barbara Boucher's character Kitty has killed her sister, and we flash back to a scene where that takes place. They're fighting, and she kind of bashes her head against this stone in the yard, and falls into a lake and is dead. Uh, but we learn that that murder has been covered up over the years, and poor Kitty has been kind of dealing with this for her whole life. That she accidentally killed her sister, but made everyone else kind of believe that the sister had just kind of been away this whole time.
Yeah, so just
Um,
to be clear, Kitty is not concealing. I mean, she's concealing the murder, but she
yeah,
is fully shouldering the guilt of believing that she killed her sister. It's not
for a
like
long
she's
time.
that
Yeah,
she believes that she's actually a murderer.
right. She's not like this horrible person. Which you in Giallo's, there's quite a few horrible people in the cast, but this time around, it really kind of was an accident, and she feels terrible about it. Um, yeah, I would say that's kind of correct, right?
Yeah. So the sort of the more crime motivation for some of this action comes when the grandfather passes away, and
Mhm.
it's time for to divvy up his estate.
Right.
So Evelyn, of course, is MIA. Everyone thinks she's in the United States. Um, and then there's Francesca and Kitty, who
Mhm.
they get their share. But so there's the missing share,
Mm.
which, as a result of that, all this kind of under dealing comes along.
Right. And Francisca has a husband, and Kitty has a secret boyfriend who is married, we learn, right? And yeah, like you said, there's that other share, and there's a reading of the will where it is basically said that Tobias, the grandfather, said that in 1 year from the day, the everything's kind of going to be divvied out, right? Everything's going to
Yeah,
be, the money will be dispersed, but it's going to be 1 year from now. And we basically learned that he did that in order because of this whole curse, right?
yeah, which he believes
Oh,
was, he believes the curse was true.
right, exactly. Because of the timing of the 100 years and the painting and the Red Queen and the Black Queen and his two granddaughters and yada yada yada. Right.
Yeah, and then there's like sort of the other point is that it's believed that the Red Queen is going to come back from the dead, and be resurrected, and it's
Mm.
like the more of a supernatural bent on it, which
No, no, there
that
is. Yeah.
yeah, which is and that is also a misdirection in this film too. There is actually no supernatural element in this. It's all just misdeeds by mortals.
Very true. Um, so of course, a series of murders start happening, which is, I mean, hey, it's always the case with the Giallo. At some point in the film, the killing begins. Um, and unfortunately, they all of the killings appear to be done by a woman bearing a red cape and a mask, which of course leads everyone to believe that the Red Queen has arrived to kind of kick off this whole curse, right?
Yeah, and another interesting thing too is the character is Evelyn's like that drug addict dude who shows up and he's like, I can't live without her. But in reality, he's just after the money, basically.
Yeah, he's playing a game about a woman who's dead, basically, or who, I mean, for all intents and purposes, is dead, right? I mean,
Yeah,
it was kind of strange, and he's kind of muscling Kitty, Barbara Boucher's character, and sadly later in the film, he takes her money and he rapes her, which uh, in a rare moment in Giallo, they don't show the rape scene, huh, Michael?
that's right. They don't. Yeah, in a rare
They cut
moment, they
away.
don't go.
Yes,
They cut away from
they cut away.
from that.
But they show, the aftermath of it. They show Barbara Boucher's Kitty kind of on, in like a fetal position on the floor, shaking, which is terrible sight to view. But they didn't show the actual rape scene, which I will say 8 or 9 times out of 10 in the Giallo they show without issue. Would you agree?
That's true. That is 100% true.
Aye, yeah, yeah. But yeah, I guess Emilio Miraglia wanted to class up the joint a little, right?
Exactly.
Hmm. But yeah, the killing begins, and of course the fingers get pointed to Kitty, of course, because Evelyn is dead, and or I'm sorry, Evelyn is in quote California, America or whatever, and how could she be here? But according to some of the people, they're like, oh no, it's her, it's Evelyn doing this killing, and of course Kitty is like, well, that can't be true. So they at one point they go down into the castle, the property, and they show basically what appears to be a dead body of her, right?
Yes. Yeah, it's
Now,
walled up, and then there's a corpse. Her corpse,
yeah, there
essentially.
is a corpse. Yes. So even as a viewer, you're like, okay, so obviously one of these other women in the film, whom we have met, like, Sybil Danning's Lulu character, or Pia Giancarlo's Rosemary character, could potentially be, the killer, the female killer, right?
That's right.
One of the first killings is interesting. It's like this weird moment where this a couple tries to solicit a prostitute to have a threesome with them, right, in a park.
Yeah,
And
that was there. That's we got to have a little bit of sleaze here. So yeah, definitely.
yes, yes. And while the female is trying to procure the female prostitute, the guy Hans is murdered, of course, by the Red Queen. Yeah, that I mean, look, the movie gets a little sleazy, right? But it doesn't. I don't know. It doesn't get like over the top sleazy. I think.
There is also this kind of hint that Hans had trouble, performing
Yeah,
in an intimate way, to
yeah. So he needed to
put it
spice things up.
delicately.
Right,
Yeah,
right. He
yeah. So
needed,
that's like he needed to have these kind of like more kinky sort of interactions with women in order to get the job done.
these rendezvous. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So kind of one by one, people start dying. Barbara Boucher's boyfriend, who is a married man. His wife is in an insane asylum. She dies. Like there's this weird, creepy scene where she's kind of like in the yard of like the mental hospital with the Red Queen, and like I said, there's a lot of whispers and laughter and just like some nice atmosphere for sure from Emilio Miraglia, and it definitely really just kind of keeps you guessing. It kept me guessing, I'll tell you that.
So I actually, the first time I watched this, I didn't really it was a welcome surprise when it gets revealed who the actual killer is, and it
Yeah,
does kind of make sense too. Like it definitely makes sense. It's not just like, some sort of like Scooby-Doo, you know, it's this guy you've never seen before, you know what I mean? And which happens sometimes in these films.
yes, it is revealed that it is people we have seen before, but the problem is that there's a lot of characters in this movie.
Yes.
And the women look very similar. And it got to be a little confusing at times for me. I'm not a dummy, but I sometimes if every woman has the same hairstyle, yes, I will get confused. And the same hair color,
Yeah,
right?
the same, they're all these like beautiful European women, the same hair
Mhm.
color,
Hmm.
same build, and they all smoke cigarettes. So it's
Yeah,
it's like it's really hard, except for Kitty. She sticks out a little bit more.
right. She's the Barbara Boucher is the blonde, blue-eyed, kind of focal point, I feel like. And it is interesting. It would be interesting to see if that was on purpose or not. It might have been, and it actually was a good idea if it was on purpose to have all the women look very similar. And it would be very, very giallo of him, right?
There's a very Dario Argento moment in this film, which involves Kitty and rats, which I
Yeah.
thought was pretty awesome towards the end of the film.
Yes. At the end, it definitely. I mean, one could argue the point was, but it just to show her in kind of in peril, and it almost looked like she was going to die at one point. That was a great visual. To me, one of the best visuals in this was that random scene of the Red Queen running down the hallway of what almost looked like I mean, it looked almost like a high school hall, or I
Yeah.
don't know what
Yep.
that was. I mean, and with the music
And the
and
cape flowing behind
yeah,
her. Yeah.
yeah, that was one of my favorite scenes in the movie at about the hour or so point, I remember. Um, I almost feel like I've seen that also elsewhere, Mike. I feel like that moment has been stolen as well.
Oh yeah. Well, that's just one. That's another one of those moments where like the two scenes that we're talking about, I think, are the reason why I love these movies, where
Mhm.
that atmosphere, and then the rats coming falling out of a drain and filling a room up with rats and water. Like it's like you said, what's the point? But it's like, it's like just like this atmospheric visual thing, because it registers revulsion with you and you see that, you know
Oh yeah,
and
and it was all
yeah,
real. It was all real rats. It was all real.
yeah,
100%.
definitely,
Mhm.
and then that scene of the Red Queen running down that long hallway too. It's like I still don't really understand how that fit into the plot of the film, but it just looks cool.
Right, right. Yeah, and there were some nice, kill scenes with this very interesting knife that I'm telling you, it's literally the same knife in the Malignant movie.
I gotta check that
Um,
then.
and which is a nice nod, I almost thought. Um, And the blood color I thought in this was really interesting. I mean, look, in 1972, it's kind of Giallo City in Italy. Like, Dario's already got both Bird with Crystal Plumage out and Cat of Nine Tails. Everyone's kind of copying the success of him. But this has a nice flavor of its own, Mike, right?
Yeah, it's unique, and I like I said, I've only seen two of his films, and but I'm going to try to explore his westerns too, and his crime films.
Yeah, the crime ones look really cool. Anything with Henry Silva in it has got to be pretty solid.
Oh
You
yeah, that
know?
guy's got the best face ever, man.
Oh my God. Like he was basically born to be in mob films in the 70s. That's basically his mob or crime films. That's okay. Like God said, this is what you're going to do. This is it. So,
Yeah,
right?
absolutely, man. It's like he can only be one thing, man. Can you imagine him playing like a romantic lead or something like that? No, you can't. You can't
Or,
imagine that.
or in like some kind of comedy farce film or slapstick film. It wouldn't work. I don't
Nah,
think it
there's
would work.
nothing funny about that dude's face at all.
It's like putting it's Jason Voorhees in the wrong setting. He's Jason Voorhees. He belongs in a summer camp, right?
Yeah,
He doesn't belong in space or in the city. Oh
in
wait, they did do that.
space.
I'm sorry. Right. Oh, I'm sorry. They did that with Jason Voorhees. Silly me. But I digress. Yeah, I don't know. Do we want to give the whole farm away? I mean, I really did enjoy this film. It is of course revealed that the Red Queen was in fact we got two female killers, right, Mike?
Yeah, yeah, we got two.
And none of them are Evelyn. How about that?
Nope, none of them are Evelyn. And I mean, I might as well say like,
Hmm.
the the older sister, Francesca, is the primary killer in this film.
Yes, Francisca is along with a secondary character, Rosemary Mueller, played by actress Pia Giancarlo. I saw a newer photo of her, right? She literally looks the same, like just older. Like, you know what I'm saying? She looks like she has like that same, like you would know that was her. Like she aged very well, is what I'm trying to say, listeners. Very pretty European actress. Um, and it turns out the girl at the very beginning of the film, who is we believe is killed by Barbara Boucher, uh, is basically like a stepsister that was adopted by the grandfather Tobias in order to break the curse, right, Mr. Hill?
Yeah, yeah, that's right.
Mhm.
And the scene, the sort of misdirecting scene of the murder of Evelyn is kind of cool because we see Kitty and her fighting, and
Right.
then she hits her head, and then she falls into this body of water,
And
and
she's
that's when we think,
bleeding.
yeah,
Mhm.
she's bleeding. So we think, okay, Evelyn killed her by accident. It wasn't, it was like one of these. But then we see Francesca fishing her out of the water and then killing her. And
And
it's
then
like
really bashing her head
it,
into the side of where you pull her out of the water, there's like a concrete slab, and just goes to town on her poor sister's head. But she actually, Francisca, as we know, knows that it is not her sister, and does the real killing. And of course, Francisca and Kitty go on to cover the whole thing up. Um, and sadly, greed is the motivator here, as Francisca wanted, you know, all the money to herself in order to off not only her sister, adopted sister, but her real sister in Barbara Boucher's character, because of course she tries to murder her as well, and ends up murdering uh, Rosemary, who again is her real sister. Uh, Towards the end of the film, we see Barbara Boucher come across her kind of like struggling with the mask on, and Barbara Boucher feels like, oh, I found the killer, blah blah blah. And she pulls it off and reveals that it's Rosemary. Um, But again, it wasn't a huge focus on her, so there was quite a misdirect there, right?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah,
I almost forgot about her, to be completely honest.
true.
But yeah, we learned that she is, in fact, the real Evelyn, quote unquote. But Tobias had kind of had her sent away, and had this kind of, stepsister that was referred to as Evelyn. It turns out she was some daughter of like a peasant in town or something like that, and you know, of course, she is murdered as well. Um, but yeah, I mean, the very ending, it's a bit kind of drawn out. you know, I feel like again the rat idea was kind of cool. She's kind of in the basement or whatever, in the dungeon of the castle, and the rats start pouring out as the place is being filled up with water because Francisca is trying to drown Barbara Boucher's character. And of course, the day is saved by her boyfriend, as well as the husband of Francisca, right?
Yeah, that's right. Martin, I think his name is. Is that his name?
Mhm.
Martin. Yeah.
Yeah. Who has a handicap, and she makes fun of his handicap, and he ends up shooting her to death, which is kind of a wild scene too, huh?
Yeah, that was pretty brutal.
Hmm. Um, but he kind of, saves the day there. But did you notice the very bizarre wig on Barbara Boucher's boyfriend, Kitty's boyfriend, towards the end? It was very disturbing. I felt. I don't know.
Yeah, that was a pretty good wig.
No, like when he's in like the in the ambulance or whatever, like that very ending scene, the hair looks very bad. I don't know. I thought
Yeah.
that was funny. You know, I'm sure it looked wonderful for 1972, right?
But yeah, this one's got plenty of twists and turns.
Mhm.
A lot of atmosphere, great
Yeah,
visuals,
yeah, yeah.
uh, you know, very cool acting. And yeah, it's also like I said earlier, it's on the Apple player. So if this is sounds just interesting to you and you're a subscriber of the Arrow. Did I say Apple player? I mean Arrow
You said
player.
Apple. Yeah, it's Arrow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's on the Arrow player. So if
Mhm.
this is interesting to you and if you're a subscriber, or if you're interested in checking out the Arrow player, I highly recommend it because it's like a slew of genre films on there. You can check this out. And if you don't want to throw down the money for the Blu-ray, but yeah, it's a good film. What would you give it as a rating though, Mike? What was your grade on this movie?
Okay. Uh, I'm going 3.5. I'm not going 4. I wanted to go
Hmm.
4, but I, as it was fun, but it doesn't knock your socks off. I don't know. There are better Barbara Boucher films out there. Um, there are better Giallo out there, but this is see it. The 3 says I want you to see this movie. That's what my number 3 says. But the 3.5 is that it's actually quite a good film. So that is why I gave it a 3.5.
I'm a little higher than that, Mike. I gave it a 4 actually.
Oh, okay, okay,
Yeah, I
interesting.
quite enjoyed this. Yeah.
Hmm. All right. How about that? We did not have the same score this time. Interesting. I thought it was a little long in the
Okay.
tooth, and I thought, I don't know, the big of a jumble of characters, some quite inconsequential. I don't know. I love the Red Queen though.
Yeah.
I almost feel like we could have had maybe even a little more of her and less of these side characters, honestly. Sybil Danning is great in it. It was cool to see a young Sybil Danning. Sybil Danning, I will say, listeners, about 9 times out of 10 in the 80s was naked in a film, and she is
Oh yeah.
naked in this film as well. So she probably began that trajectory back in the 70s here. Yeah, I had no idea she was in you know a Giallo film, so that was really cool. Um,
Yeah.
Look, anything with Barbara Boucher is solid. Uh, she is on my bucket list of Eurostars I would love to meet. She did Chiller before I started going to Chiller, Mike, unfortunately, which really
Really?
sucks.
Oh
Yes, she
no.
did do Chiller, and I was not there.
Oh God.
And on the yes, it was very devastating to learn this because on the extras on the No Shame disc, there's a little brief interview where she talks about being a Chiller, And this is from 2006. She looks phenomenal in this little quick interview, by the way. And she talks about how popular this was with her American fans, how this movie was actually very popular. And I was like, oh, wow, damn, I missed her fucking chiller. Damn it. So, you know, hopefully one day she makes a return to the con circuit. Who the hell knows? She's 81 now. So I don't know. But, you know, of course, you can see her in Don't Torture a Duckling. And she has a brief role, as some may know, in Martin Scorsese's Gangs of New York as Mrs. Skimmerhorn. How about that?
Oh, wow. I didn't know that.
Yeah, yeah. And she's in Casino Royale, and you know she's in a bunch of cool movies. So I'm a big fan.
Oh, damn. Okay.
Hmm.
Skimmerhorn, as in Hoyt Skimmerhorn on the G train,
Yeah,
right?
Yeah. Well, hey, that's where a lot of these names came from back in the day during the Gangs of New York days. That's where a lot of these streets came from. Isn't that
Yeah.
cool? Hmm.
Yeah.
How about that? So yeah, another trip to Italy, folks. We hope you enjoyed this one. As you could see, we're also sprinkling in, the new modern shit as well, right, Mike?
Oh yeah, there's a lot of great stuff coming out, so we got to focus on that. But it's good to go back and a movie like this. I know that we do have some like younger people out there that are listening to this, and you might not know about these movies, and we just want to pass this knowledge on to you guys, make recommendations of stuff that might not be on your radar. So that's why we're doing this dive into Italian films.
Exactamundo. But thank you to all the loyal listeners and the new listeners and the first timers. We appreciate all the support, right, Mike?
That's right. And we'll be coming at you guys every week. And take care.
Cheers.